What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Cultivation 3D Studio. And now that I've completely finished the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, I'm moving on to Dino Thunder, which brings in this guy. We're going to show you guys how I made this step by step. I am going to make a separate video for how I made the visor, but let's get right into it. All right, guys, just like with every video, we're going to start with the 80 grit. Right now, we're going to work on the front of the mask just because it's a lot more surface area, a lot more angles we got to deal with. So we're going to do 80 grit on this one just to knock down the layer lines. And then once we're done with that, we're going to go ahead and do the back 80 grit as well. This one takes no time at all since it's just a small back piece for this one. Now, after the 80 grit, we're going to knock it down again with the 120. Now, if you've seen my previous videos before this, you should know this is pretty much a standard for me. I do 80, then I do 120, and then I do a mixture of the Bondo glazing putty with the acetone, cover that, and then I sand it with 220. But for this video, I'm going to do a little bit different step. I am going to do the 80 and the 120, but I'm going to go ahead and replace the Bondo glazing putty with acetone with wood filler instead. I use this wood filler. I didn't videotape myself doing it, but it's the same process: wood filler, acetone, and you just cover it a couple times with a couple layers. And the wood filler is a little bit stronger than the Bondo glazing putty, but for the most part, it's the same process. After you get all that sanded down with the 220, you're gonna want to go ahead and hit this with some filler primer. I did about 3 coats of this one, covered it real nice just to make sure everything's nice and smooth. And then we're going to go ahead and get this wet sanded. All right, now while those pieces are setting and drying, we're going to go ahead and do the horn. This horn came out a little wonky, so I used a lot of wood filler for this one, sanded it down with the 220 grit, got this thing super smooth, hit it with the filler primer, and we're going to let this sit as well. And we're also going to get into the wet sanding right after this. All right, now we're getting into arguably the most therapeutic part in the entire process. We're going to wet sand this with 400 grit. You really get to see your helmet come along, get any imperfections out the way, any fixes that need to be done before you prime this is essentially what this process is going to be part of. So we're finally using the Bondo glazing putty for what it's used for. This is me spray painting it with a flat white paint. Gonna want to do about 2 to 3 coats on this one, waiting between like 30 minutes between each. After we're done priming, we're going to get into the fun stuff and start painting. All right, so if you've also looked at my previous videos, I'm no longer using the rattle cans to spray paint. I'm using airbrushing. So we're going to use a Mars Black from Nick Pro, mix that together, get a nice good consistency, and get a good first layer on there. All right, guys, now that we got the final coat on there, let that dry for about an hour or two, and now we're getting into masking. So let's go ahead and mask this visor. What I usually do to help me is I use this mixing tool. It has a nice thin tip on it, so I can get in between the grooves of the visor, so it's nice and flush with the mask. Now, for the most part, this can either make or break you, just because masking is, it takes forever. I'm gonna say this took about an hour. just to do the masking, and I'm not gonna lie, it's a pain in the butt. So this is one of those, you the more you do, the better you get at it. So let's go ahead and just knock this out. All right, guys, so after completely losing my mind trying to mask this thing, we're going to go ahead and paint this with the metallic gold from Nick Pro. All right, guys, so after about 3 or 4 coats of the metallic gold, let's go ahead and see how we did. We're going to unmask this right now. All right, guys, for the most part, this came out amazing. I cannot complain. There is some part that I didn't mask all the way, but using the airbrush, it's very easy to clean up. Now, I went ahead and did the masking for the white part as well. That part was fairly simple, nothing too crazy on that part. And you're pretty much done after this. I am going to show you guys how a video how I did the visor as well. So that's going to be in a separate video completely. But after a good gloss coat, this is what it's looking like. I also did the eyes in a clear resin and airbrushed them with an iridescent purple. I will also make a separate video on how I did that as well, just because I am still new to resin printing. But this is essentially how it should look. After everything has been clear coated and put together, we have a finalized piece on here. Yeah, I do want to thank you guys for sticking around with this video. Like, comment, subscribe. Thank you guys for watching. Now stay tuned because I am going to be doing a giveaway once I reach 500 subscribers on all platforms. So stay tuned for that. If you guys aren't following me on any other social media, I will definitely leave those in the description down below. And thanks for watching.